Okay, I want to get right into it. So J. Cole, we could go release his Port Antonio apology about an apology. J. Cole just don't know where he at. That's why I think the song he put out a couple years ago called Middle Child perfectly encapsulates how conflicted and confused this nigga is, right? So just for 1 second, let's take Drake out of this, because I think the one thing that nobody is looking at more specifically is Kendrick versus Cole. Okay, these two niggas, the almighty woke niggas. This is the component that none of us or nobody's really been looking at, because I think J. Cole and kind of right, or I guess like a smart man, when shit kicked off, he got his ass out the way early, right? But I feel like because of that, we not really looking at Cole versus Kendrick. And I think it's real smoke there, and it's been there for a while, but because both of them be kind of underplaying it and people know that they was cool, we don't really look at it. But it's like, I think that J. Cole actually does not like Kendrick. And I feel like it's not being talked about. J. Cole don't like Kendrick. I think he respects Kendrick because of his fan base, and he knows how the fans feel about him. But I do not think that J. Cole likes Kendrick at all. I think that they haven't been seeing eye to eye for quite some time. Now, this is speculation because obviously we don't know these niggas, right? And what I mean by seeing eye to eye, I don't mean like, oh, like real beef or nothing like that. I think an interesting thing that also nobody, when I bring this up, they be like, what you mean they had songs together? First of all, let's stop with these niggas is my brother. We need to go back to old school black rules when it comes to this industry shit, which is, if you can't go over nobody's mama house, if you don't know his kid's name, if you can't just show up at the crib, these niggas are not your brother. These are niggas that you rap with. These are your rap peers. I hate all this brother friendly shit that is not actually true. That's a whole nother thing. But Cole versus Kendrick, it's interesting because the reason I feel like there's real competitive smoke between the two is because generally, like aesthetically speaking, they do the same thing. And they kind of do the same story, which is both of them are like, predominantly what they do is tell stories when they rap, right? Incredible flow, whatever you want to say. They tell stories, but they kind of slightly be kind of coming from some similar POVs, which a lot of times their rapping is not about necessarily what I did, but it's the niggas around me. Wherever J. Cole get to talking about shit that happened in the street or something, it's always, my friends was moving at work and da-da-da-da. That's always the little perspective that he do, right? And Kendrick has a lot of that where he's, I'm talking about, the environment I grew up in, but like the people that I was around and the influences, whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop, right? And so I think I always kind of felt like J. Cole, when he started getting really competitive with Kendrick, it was very much so like, this nigga do what I do, but he get way more the praise for doing what I do. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like if Kendrick was out of the picture, then I think a lot of the records that J. Cole make would be the ones getting looked at as like getting all the Grammy love, getting a Pulitzer Prize winner. Now, I don't think he's as dope as Kendrick. Like, bar for bar, I don't think he raps better than Kendrick or even makes better music than Kendrick. I'm just saying, I kind of can see where Cole is like, because they both do the little fake woke thing, right? And so I take it back, like, well, okay, Trey, where you getting this from? I take it back to the Middle Child record. Okay, now this whole record, and this is, go do your Google, your YouTube or whatever, this whole record, if you go back, it was specifically about J. Cole kind of stepping to the forefront and basically saying, I'm the middle child when it comes to rap. I'm like between Drake and Kendrick, but I think that I ought to be at the top. Like, I'm the guy, I should be number one, but I kind of got this middle child syndrome. Like, I've been in the game just long enough where they can kind of, people see me as a bit of a OG, but I ain't like Jay and them. So, this is kind of what this record is detailing. So, okay, we already know the history with Cole and Drake. They're friends. You know, even in the Middle Child song, there's a record like where J. Cole is saying this watch came from Drizzy back when they was praying not this. They had like two legends can't coexist, right? So he been letting you know, I love this nigga Drake, right? And this is why it's so interesting. It sticks out to me more in this new record, the Port Antonio joint that he released. Because it's kind of like a Drake love letter. It's another thing like, yo, fuck all that shit that happened. You still my nigga. Now, when he apologized to Kendrick at that Dreamville Fest, it wasn't the same energy. And I think people thought, oh man, he don't want to lose a brother. I don't believe that shit. I think that Cole is very aware of how the public sees Kendrick. And I think when he put that 7-minute drill record out and it didn't get the good response, like, oh, whoa, whoa, it was kind of like, I'm going to lose this shit. See, a lot of people saying, oh, he got out the way because it was going to get messy. He didn't know this shit was going to go where it was going to go. He didn't know the pedophile shit. I know Schoolboy Q told him later, like, yo, it's between them, just back off. But initially, I think what really prompted him to get out of the way is that he put that record out and it was crickets. And I think he realized, okay, the fix is in. Nobody's going to go against Kendrick in the court of public opinion. This nigga has an insane amount of fans. He's the fucking birthright of hip hop. I'm not going to win this battle. Let me get out the way. Right? So when he's on stage and he's doing his apology, if you go rewatch this shit, he's like, you know, it wasn't me, man. I was losing sleep. You know, I dissed that nigga record, man. Y'all know that record was good. That's what I'm saying. Like, he's really talking to the audience like, I know that y'all fuck with this nigga and this record and this shit is so great. You know, basically, I fucked up even trying to say some shit about him because I know how y'all feel about him. I don't believe that shit, though. Like, I don't believe that J. Cole thinks that he can't fuck with Kendrick. I think he just can't fuck with the massive stardom that Kendrick has. And that's what I'm saying. I think he respects him. He respects what he do and what he's been able to bring to prominence. But I don't think he like that nigga for real. And one of the reasons is every time they have their little shit or his records or like I was just re-listening to the 7-minute drill joint, I think that Cole feel like Kendrick is a clout chaser. Every time he says it, when the control verse come out, what did he say? He said recently, he said in the 7-minute drill, if he wasn't dissing, then we probably wouldn't be mentioning him. You know what I'm saying? It's like, we wouldn't even be talking about him if he dissing. Because a lot of the perspective is, every time Kendrick come out, he always got to have controversy. Cole says it in the record. Boy, I got hit off of balls, not no controversy. Right? And I'm like, oh, niggas kind of see Kendrick as a clout chaser. That's what they were saying about, it goes back to the Control record. It's like, bro, okay, if you're not naming a bunch of other niggas' names, what you gonna do every time you come out to get everybody talking about you? You do this shit every time. That's what Drake was saying. Like, bro, you come out, you take shots at niggas, you stir shit up, then you go back in the house and have a sandwich, go to sleep, and don't nobody hear from the boogeyman again. That's this kind of running thing that he was doing over and over. And I think from Cole's perspective, he's also got tired of this same shit the same way Drake did. I think he got tired, like, bro, you keep doing this shit. And that's why Cole was frustrated. Back to the 7-minute drill record. Enough people didn't really go through that shit because it was like, oh, this shit is trash. And it is trash. But it's a lot of gems in that fucking trash can. In terms of how Cole actually feels about Kendrick. You know, because I'm not one of them people where it's like, oh, that was just competitiveness. He was, you know, Cole would have you believe he just pulled that shit out his ass. Like, nigga, you've been feeling this way about Kendrick for a long time and you really want to let it go. He said, how ironic, now I got it. This nigga wants something with me. You know what I mean? He was like, that was your prom. I was trailing right behind. You know? And I think that's the whole thing for Cole is that, like, yo, none of y'all niggas can really little bro me. Like, I was behind y'all niggas. Now I'm top of the pack. He said on the first shooter, like, you know, who the best, blah, blah, blah. He's like, now I'm feeling like Muhammad Ali, like I'm the one. And I think that works for Drake because they actually like each other and they respect each other. These niggas do not like Kendrick, and I think it's been that way for a very, very, very long time. And I think that Kendrick feel the same way about these niggas, which I also thought was interesting that, you know, when Kendrick goes, I hate when a rapper talk about guns and somebody die, they turn into nuns. Everybody thought he was talking about Drake, and it's like, no. who rapped the most about guns? This nigga J. Cole, which is wild for a nigga that will tell you, I ain't no street nigga, I was just around street niggas. Why is all his metaphors about guns and shit? You don't know nothing about that, but yeah, that's his first thing. He's 7-minute drill. That's the first thing he always go to. Even in the Middle Child record, this nigga's been counting me out. I'm loading my clips. It's like, bro, what's up with you, my boy? Right? And so I thought that was really interesting because I think Kendrick versus Cole is like the battle of the substance woke rapper niggas. It's Common versus Talib. Is, very boring. Them two, very, very boring. One, because again, I don't think Cole can really rap with Kendrick. But that was just interesting to me, man. When I was listening to the Port Antonio record, I was like, this is also low key a very, very subtle Kendrick diss. Right? Maybe not so far as a diss, but there's some commentary in there because J. Cole's also talking about like, you niggas is paying for bots and all that. But I'm like, who he talking to? He wouldn't be on a song where he's telling Drake how much he love him, but then talking about niggas paying for bots and digging up dirt just to feed their whole team and all this shit. I'm like, he talking about Kendrick. That was the whole thing. Drake said from the beginning, Kendrick paying for bots, you paying for bots, they hyping up the streams, the whole thing. And now you have Cole in this record where he's bigging up Drake, still talking about niggas paying for bots and streams and digging up dirt. Who looks like they dug up the most dirt would be Kendrick. This nigga excavated this nigga's whole land and his whole life to call him, all these, heinous things. And I think that Cole was kind of hinting at that too, like, bro, this wasn't about to be no fair rap battle, because this nigga Kendrick is doing research or whatever. He ain't just going bar for bar. This nigga going scandal for scandal. Like, this shit it's insane. And so I was just sitting back like, damn, nobody's really talking about the real smoke that just kind of got swept under the rug because he backed out like a little bitch is between Cole and Kendrick. And so here's my prediction, because I always like to do a prediction before the next move happens. I 100% think that Kendrick's going to come back and clean Cole up. Now, I don't know if it's going to be a full-out diss, but I think he's absolutely, after that record, going to have some shit to say about Cole for real. Because I don't think he was finished with him. And I think from Kendrick's perspective, it's like, bro, I gave you a pass. You said that little shit at Dreamville. Alright, boom, boom, boom. I'm just going to address the nigga that I ultimately got the biggest problem with. Then you come back and you kind of try to save the nigga who I got the biggest problem with. And that's what the thing is that he said, hey, fuck the big three. It's just Big Me. I think people forget that in that Like That verse was lines specifically directed at J. Cole too, but I feel like people keep skipping over that. If you walk around with that stick, he ain't Andre 3K. Again, going back to these gun metaphors, right? So my prediction is that Kendrick's definitely gonna have some really interesting shots that's coming at J. Cole's way, whether if it comes out in just a single or if it comes out like on the actual album. But I do not think Kendrick is fucking with this nigga J. Cole. Especially after this last record, because now it's looking like J. Cole is a super snake. Like, all right, bro, I gave you a pass to go. Then you put out another whack-ass apology. But in this apology, you telling Drake, like, man, don't worry about all that shit Kendrick said. Like, it's like, all right, bro, now I got to get you out of here, too. So that's my perspective. It's gonna be interesting. I don't think we've seen the last of the beef, though. I'll tell you that. Everybody like, it's over. Because the real battle is going to be when Kendrick put this record out, his album out, and when Drake put his album out. And honestly, people are going to super harshly judge this J. Cole album that's coming out too, The Fall Off. So it's still going to be this conversation about the big three. Thank y'all for tuning in. Circle Influence.